Friday, everybody. It is the day after Thanksgiving. I have the day off from one of my jobs, so I am taking the opportunity to go out for an early hike. The weather, it's been really rainy all night, but it looks like it's finally starting to clear up. We're seeing beautiful blue sky. So we're going to cross our fingers that we stay in good shape and that this is going to be a dry hike. I don't think my feet are going to stay dry, but that's why I have waterproof boots. So we are going out west of my area to a place called Warwick County Park. This is actually near where Deb and Nikki and I did a section of the Horseshoe Trail. And in fact, we're going to cross the Horseshoe Trail as we're hiking today. But I'm really excited about some of the history of this site. So let's get driving. Let's get out there and see what they've got. Welcome to the Warwick County Park. We're out here in Chester County, Pennsylvania. And it's interesting being out here because I was out in this area 25 years ago house hunting. We were looking at purchasing a house in St. Peter's, which is just over the hill that way. And we ended up not getting it. But when we were here last, this was all open farmland. It was very green and remote, and it is all built up now. It's amazing what a difference 25 years makes. But this area looks a little more protected. Again, it's a county park, part of the Chester County Park system, and you can kind of see there's a lot of hills through here. It's starting to get a little more uppy downy than it is in our area, which is very flat. We are going to be walking on the Horseshoe Trail for a little bit. One of the loops, or one of the maps for this loop, actually has you coming back on the Horseshoe Trail, but we're going to come back on what's called the North Loop, which kind of goes up and around the top edge of the park. So but for now, we're going to do a little bit of a road walk down here. That's going to take us to the Horseshoe Trail, and from there we'll get onto the Charcoal Trail. So called because, as with so much in Pennsylvania, there was a lot of iron forging going on in this area, which required a lot of charcoal, which required a lot of trees. And this area was all heavily forested, and they made the charcoal right here on site, and we should be able to see some of the areas where they were doing that charcoal burning. So I'm gonna get my pack on. I've got my boots on. I did see the podiatrist this week. He took my insoles out to see if that would give me any more stability. So we're going to do 4 miles, see how my feet feel after that, and so I can report back to him. All right, I'm going to get my pack on. Let's get walking. Once again, my issues with telling my left from my right have betrayed me, and I have come completely the wrong direction. When I got on the Horseshoe Trail, instead of going the way that I went, I should have gone left on the other side of the road and followed the creek that way. I'm not going to complain too much. I mean, I did come half a mile out of my way, but I found this beautiful spot. I had gotten to a point where it was very hard to find the trail, so I stopped here for my half-mile lightheaded break, which I think I'm really going to have to talk to my family doctor about, and to try and figure out where the trail went. And when I sat down, I saw that yellow blaze that was looking at the creek. So I looked across the creek, and saw the yellow blaze over there and realized I was going to have to cross this creek. So I was sitting here on this log trying to figure out how I was going to get across when I looked at my All Trails map and figured out what I did wrong. So I will be going back in just a couple of minutes. It is a very windy day today. It's not bitter cold. I think it's in the mid-40s today. But the wind is just fierce, so it's making it feel quite a bit chillier. But, all right, I'm going to have another handful of trail mix and some more water and get back on backtracking back to where I'm supposed to be. on the right trail. And this path is a lot easier. It feels like it might have been an old logging road, which again would make sense given the history of the area. I do have a climb coming up, which I intentionally scheduled on the front half of the trail instead of the back half to get it while I was a little fresher. Except, of course, I will have done 2 miles by the time I get there, so much for that idea. That creek I was walking around along has me very curious because it was very straight for most of what I was following. Unnaturally straight, which makes me wonder if it was dug and rerouted intentionally as part of the charcoal industry out here, either to get the lumber in or to get the charcoal out. And maybe part of this trail was actually a towpath. So, again, it's very beautiful. The clouds have come in and that makes me a little bit nervous because I left my umbrella at home this time. Well, not at home, it's in the car. But, all right, I think that hill is coming up, so I'm gonna put this away and get climbing. I'm not usually jumpy in the woods, but this wind is strong enough that I heard a limb or a tree or something snap off down in the woods, and that has made me very aware of all of the trees around me. And there's a lot of down stuff. I'm checking out as I go to keep an eye out for any dead limbs hanging in the trees over the trail, in case anything might blow off and fall on me. But that's not what I came out in the woods to worry about. Right, so we have discussed before the impact of iron ore and iron forging on the state of Pennsylvania. And the reason it had such an impact was the clear cutting of the forests. That was because the forges needed charcoal in order to purify the iron into what's called pig iron. That takes all the other impurities out, leaving just the iron. And to do that, I believe I just read it took 30 cords of lumber to make 6.5 tons of pig iron. And some of these furnaces were producing 1,000 tons of pig iron. I think it said a day. So that's a lot of firewood. So what they would do is they would cut the trees down, cut them into 4-foot lengths, and then they'd come to a place like this and stack the wood upright in big, enormous circles, like 20 feet around, with very little airflow. When you're making a fire for camping, you want to make sure there's plenty of air coming in so that the fire will burn. When you're making charcoal, you don't want a full burn. You want a slow smolder, so it's going to leave the charcoal behind. So they would have the wood packed very tightly with just enough airflow to allow it to have that smolder. And then these giant pits would burn for days. And the person in charge of it was called a collier. He would have a hut around here somewhere. I'm sure that they've explored to look for where that hut is. And they would stay here all day, all night, and keep an eye on how the burn is going and make sure nothing's coming fully alight, but the fire's not going out for days. And then they'd let it cool, shovel it all into wagons, and take it to the charcoal house at the furnace. So this trail has, it looks like about 10 of these charcoal pits. So you can see this was a big production. And then the iron forge itself would be what they call here a plantation. They would have the manor house, they would have houses for the workers, they would have all the facilities that the people living there needed. Small shop, farms, for growing their own food. They'd have their own blacksmith. Obviously, the equipment to do the forging, needed to be made on site, but also the implements that the community needed, from horseshoes and frying pans to hinges to tools, all of that would be made right on site. So again, the people working there never had to leave the community. So, I am not quite to what my halfway point was going to be, and I'm debating whether I'm going to shorten my loop today. I have to be at my second job by 4 o'clock, and it's about 11:30 now, and I still have 2 hours. I think I can make it, especially since I don't think I have any more big climbs. I've got a little bit more of a downhill. But we're going to keep hiking because I got to get back to the car. That's the rule. I have to get back to the car. So we're going to get back on the trail and see if I see any more of these markers and learn anything more interesting about the charcoal industry. I made it to the county park headquarters, which, bless all the gods in the sky, had public restrooms that were open and heated. It is cold out here. I know the temperature says it's in the low 40s, but with this wind, it's just cutting through. I've got most of my layers on, and I'm sweating, but I'm also really cold. So I took my butt break in the bathroom. I didn't record, you're welcome. So I'm getting back on the trail. I've got 1.5 miles back to the car, which looks like it's going to be fairly flat. So I'm hoping I can do it in an hour, hour and a half. It's just past 12, so we'll see if I can make it there by 1:30. Let's get moving. I cannot make it past that point. There's plenty of rocks until it gets there, and then there's nothing. And I'm not going in my ankles in that water and possibly risking slipping. So I guess I'm backtracking and going home on the Horseshoe Trail. Oh well. again, I have made it back to the car. My 4-mile hike ended up being 6, which my feet are not happy about. The last 100 yards back to the car was kind of touch and go because my left ankle decided it was done and kept trying to give out on me. So, yeah, that was more than I should have done. But in general, I think the tweak to my orthotics did the trick. The top of my right foot isn't bothering me at all, considering I was standing on my feet all day cooking yesterday. So I'm very pleased. I think the rest is just strengthening the muscles up so that they're used to holding my foot in this different position. So we'll keep working it. Maybe not quite this distance because I don't think I'm ready for this yet, but we'll get there. I don't know if I'm going to do another hike this weekend because Nikki and I are going to the punk rock flea market tomorrow, which will be fun. Probably not going to record that this time. May get out Sunday, not sure. Definitely will be out next weekend. So I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. I do know I'm going to put a neck gaiter in my side pouches because I was too stubborn to take my backpack off to get it out, which would have helped a lot with my warmth. So we're adjusting to a new season. It takes a little time. Thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed this. I definitely recommend this park. There are a bunch of different trails besides what I did today. One I really want to come back and do is the Adirondack Tree Identification Trail. It's a really nice trail. Lots of spots to stop and sit down if you can't do a lot of long walking. And they have a bunch of the trees marked to be able to learn how to identify them, including little plaques with what their leaves look like. So even though there aren't any leaves on the trees, you can start getting a feel for what they look like. I'm terrible at tree identification, so I think that would be a great learning opportunity for me. But so get out there, go find a hike yourself. If you find something good, let me know. I'll go check it out. Otherwise, I will talk to you next week. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.